Greetings, one and all. Welcome back to the Cave Boys. You're joining us here in the cave. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, everybody.
It's a suitable cave welcome right there. Today, boys, I have assembled you like the Avengers once again to talk this time about Zelda.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
I know.
Is it Twilight Princess this time?
Yes, okay, so this will be yet another challenge in can I devise a video idea where the boys don't mention Twilight Princess.
Good luck.
It's not happening.
We'll have to see, because today, boys, we're talking about the best and worst dungeons in Zelda games. So I think I know what's coming. It rhymes with Barbitus Bound, but I don't know. No idea whatsoever. So, with no risk of talking about Twilight Princess, Eddie, would you be so kind as to talk to us about what your favourite and least favourite Zelda dungeons are?
You know what? I would like to start with the worst. We'll start with the one that I would like to be mean to. And I actually really debated putting Forest Temple from Twilight Princess here, but considering my best is going to be mentioned a Twilight Princess dungeon, I thought it best to not. so
You literally can't not mention Twilight Princess.
It's so hard.
You had to actively not mention it. Even when it comes to your worst pick, they're going to be so angry at us. Go on anyway.
My worst, I could be a simpleton and pick, from one of the most hated games, I hate Ice Cavern out of Triforce Heroes. But I also don't want to double book worst dungeons and pick Jabu's Belly from Ocarina of Time, because surely it'll come up at least. I'm going to go with Water Temple from Tears of the Kingdom.
That's a really good pick.
That's a damn good pick.
I thought you were going to say, I'm not going to go with the usual picks. Water Temple from Ocarina of Time.
You picked a good one. That one sucks ass.
Yeah, you know what? I have been replaying Tears of the Kingdom with Dee for a while, my girlfriend, and we haven't played it in a fuck off.
It's probably real. We don't know yet.
We haven't played it in quite a long time, and it's purely because we played the Water Temple as the first dungeon because she really likes Zoras.
Bit of slosh.
Yeah, a bit of slosh, yeah.
Oh god, Slosh, I forgot about Slosh. Oh, the Princess of the Zora, Slosh. My favourite character.
So yeah, no, here's some of my reasons why. People often cite the Ocarina of Time Water Temple as their most hated, but at least it has an identity. It has a through line where it is actually a water temple. It has a clear structure, it has a clear direction, not in the literal sense, because direction in the water temple from Ocarina of Time, surely not.
Go up, go down, go up, go down, go up, go down.
And then do it again, but this time, let's sing in the ocarina, come on.
Yep.
How fun.
Water Temple from Tears of the Kingdom will be a lot of people's first experience with dungeons in the game. I've already cited that my girlfriend went to that one first, because people love the Zora in Breath of the Wild, and they like fish people. People like fish people, apart from Slosh. Water Temple in Tears of the Kingdom, I will give it its props. It has a really cool lead up. It has a cool walking to the dungeon, which I think a lot of Tears of the Kingdom's dungeons do have. Fire Temple, which I'd say is one of the lesser cooler ones, is still quite, you fight a giant boss and you go into Elden Volcano, you go into Death Mountain. It is cool. My problem with the lead up to Water Temple is that, and this is the same for a lot of people I know, the Ancient Waterworks is a part of that lead up, which is just a better version of this Water Temple already. It's a really big missed opportunity. I understand that they wanted a dungeon in the sky alongside the Wind Temple, right? I think that's probably the reason why they decided to put Water Temple up in the sky and you can fight with Sidon. Great. I don't know if I'll get time to mention Lightning Temple, but Lightning Temple is so good, in my opinion, and Wind Temple as well. I like both of them a lot. But Lightning Temple has this really cool lead up and it's got these amazing themes and it actually feels like a dungeon from another game.
Yeah, but Ed, what about Slosh?
Oh god, you're right. Slosh is the best character.
Did you consider that?
Yes, you're right. Yes, quite.
We did forget to let the audience in on the joke. Back when me and the fellow Cave Boys started playing Tears of the Kingdom 2 years ago.
2 years ago to the day, by the way.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's
We'd sit on a call. Yeah, we'd sit on a call and we'd be talking to each other about what we're doing at that time. And when Adam got to, like, we were talking about the Zoras one time, and we were talking about the Zora and the new princess, like the new character, and Adam was like, "Oh yeah, Slosh," or whatever she's called. And me and Ed obviously just started dying. We're just like, "What the fuck?" And yeah, so ever since then, Yona is now known as Slosh to us. That's her real name.
Canon name.
That is canon.
Going back to Water Temple's general theme, the music isn't awful. I don't think the music is awful for any dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom. Speaking of, actually, I'd like to quickly address why I didn't go for the Divine Beasts here, because I've said so many times how much I hate the Divine Beasts, but I'm doing them the service of not including them as actual dungeons and they're just Divine Beasts, bro. The music isn't awful. It would fit so much better in an actual water temple. And the low gravity is cool in any theme. I would like to throw that out there.
It's very fun.
The low gravity is like my favourite part of the whole thing. Why they picked the water temple to do it in specifically, it'll always kind of surprise me, because you've got the wind temple right there. It could have done with some cool stuff.
Often with like water temples, you either have like a swimming mechanic or like an ice mechanic where you're slipping, and that's what people tend to hate about those dungeons. So I think it was an attempt to affect the way it was almost like you're in water without being too insufferable. Maybe. I think
I could see that. Yeah, definitely.
Because being in water in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is tedious. It's really slow. So like doing an entire dungeon with that would have just been tedious.
Yep.
So instead, just do low gravity and have bits of water. It makes it a bit more like palatable, I guess.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, you can't even swim under the water in this game, so they need something else to make it a bit more interesting.
One of the biggest letdowns for me that was as well, because that one thing that everyone was speculating about, in the run-up to Tears of the Kingdom was, will there be water exploration?
Yes,
and I was convinced that there would be, but
there should have been.
Yeah, it was a bit of a letdown for me.
Yeah, I think that's everything that I have to say to rag on Water Temple. I just really don't like its theme, and you guys know I'm a big stickler for atmosphere in a dungeon.
You're in like a little sort of square space, and it's like, turn the fountain on.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the dungeon.
It's pretty basic.
It is one of the more basic dungeons for sure out of the game.
Yeah. So Ed,
yes,
dare I ask, what do you think is your favourite dungeon?
Oh, you're going to love this. Snowpeak Ruins and Arbiter's Grounds. I couldn't decide between both.
I thought it was going to be Arbiter's Grounds.
It's both of them. It's Snowpeak and Arbiter's Grounds. I couldn't decide at all. Both have different qualities, but the reason why I like both of them and I can't quite choose between them, it's just because they both have the things that make a dungeon good, but they have it in different levels. Like, Snowpeak has this awesome experience. It has the atmosphere that we've talked about before in the music video. A cool item. It's just got some nice stuff on offer. It's got a nice storyline going throughout the entire dungeon as well. Yuta and Yuto, I think their names are. It's
Yetta and Yetta.
Yetta and Yetta, yes.
Yeah, come on. Fake Twilight Princess. Fine here.
Well, Arbiter's Grounds has, more interesting puzzling and structure, general gameplay, spinner. It's just a lot of cool stuff. I love Snowpeak for its linearity, whereas I love Arbiter's Grounds for really letting you decide where to go for certain portions of that dungeon as well. It's interesting. That's actually all I've got on them, because I feel like those two dungeons, they speak for themselves.
Well, Ed, you're going to make me look like a right knob now, because my favourite dungeon that I put down, and he's took two here. He's cheated the game, because if he had just settled for just Arbiter's Ground, this would not have been a problem, because I've went for Snowpeak Ruins, because that's my favourite dungeon. I look a right knob. I'm the reason we're talking about Twilight Princess again now. I'm the one that's going to get grilled for this, and it's all his fault.
I can't wait for the comments. The seethe is going to be so real, and I'm here for it. I'm all here for it.
I'll tell you the reasons why. I talk a lot, especially with Twilight Princess, but just Zelda games in general. The general atmosphere and vibe of the area is really, really big for me. I think we talked about it a lot in the music video that we did a week or two ago, when we were going into our different reasons for how we enjoy it. And Snowpeak Ruins is the perfect example of this for me. It's got everything. It's got the location. It's almost like it's out with the main map, which for starters is already incredible. It feels like you're going to a new location almost. Well, you essentially are, but it's not your typical Gerudo Desert or deep into the forest. It's something a little different. It's a mansion in the middle of a snowy mountain range. I think that's incredible. How you get there is also incredible. You go snowboarding down the mountains against the big Yeti.
It's almost like a cool little reference to Final Fantasy VII for those who have played that.
Oh, yeah.
A random little snowboarding escapade. It's a great section.
Cool.
Like you say, it is. It's like a little holiday from the main game.
Yeah, essentially. And like there's like a whole sort of story that goes along with like having to catch the reek fish and all that. That's cool in itself. But when you get there and you actually walk into the mansion, you get the cool cinematic of walking in. It's almost different to most Zelda dungeons while still being the same. You know, typically a Zelda dungeon's like an old crypt or some lost temple deep in the forest. This is a mansion. This is somewhere people used to live. And when you actually look around the dungeon, there's so many interesting details. There's paintings of sacred figures, there's sages, there's the Arbiter's grounds, there's a lot of royal crests as well. And it just instantly begs the question of who lived here, what is this? You break it down section by section, which is even cooler because it's a mansion and there's a sort of quad in the middle and you're working your way around the different sections. Meanwhile, you're following a little storyline with Yetta and Yeto making soup. It's unique, it's in a really cool area, there's a great build-up. And I'll be honest, the mini-boss and boss aren't my favourite in the entire series, but they're very, very good for that dungeon.
The boss is like possessed Yetta.
Yeah.
What was the mini-boss? I can't remember.
Just the Dark Nut. You're in that sort of slender corridor.
It's when you get the ball and chain, yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. Snowpeak Ruins is just one hell of a dungeon. It's got everything for me.
Are we remaining within Twilight Princess for your least favourite? Or are we having a change of scenery?
We are actually having a change of scenery. Because, believe it or not, there's nothing wrong with Twilight Princess. I could never put one of those dungeons in my least favourite. That would be blasphemy. But I'll tell you what, the one I'm putting on, I believe it was briefly mentioned, and I streamed this dungeon a few weeks ago, and it reminded me just how awful this dungeon is and how much I hate it. Jabu's belly from Ocarina of Time.
I called it.
The living inside an asshole dungeon.
I'd like to point out from the get-go, the first dungeon, you were going to the insides of some old deity's spiritual figure. Why are we doing it again for the second dungeon? It's the exact same thing.
That's a good point, actually, yeah.
Actually,
wait. And then in Dodongo's cavern, you go through the mouth of the dead Dodongo as well. I was just about to
say that. They had an obsession.
It's like, what theme should we go with for the first three dungeons? Oh, how about swallowing children? Yeah, that sounds good.
And Jabu's got two children inside. You've
got a bit strange, mate. I don't know if you can
Whoa. Let's just get to why this dungeon sucks.
Okay.
The other living being inside of Jabu, Princess Ruto. What a piece of work she is. It ruins the dungeon. I get it. It's a cool concept. The princess has gone missing. You need to go find her. It's a small version of going and finding Zelda. But this princess is, I think there's only one word to describe, and it's she's a bitch. She makes that dungeon so tedious, so annoying, and almost insufferable to get through.
Doesn't she like pretend to be paraplegic as well? So you just have to carry her everywhere.
Yeah, she absolutely does. And if you leave her for too long, it resets and you have to go get her from wherever you first got her.
That's so annoying.
I mean, this is just me nitpicking at this point, but the dungeon looks awful. I get it, you're inside a living thing.
It is horrible to look at though,
yeah. It's somewhat reminiscent of the Oracle of Ages and Seasons color palette for me. Like, fundamentally, not bad, but the way it looks just puts you off so much. To be honest, the mini-boss and boss aren't the greatest either. Nothing really against the boss, but after the shit show of a dungeon you've just been through, it does not make you feel any better about it.
What could have made it cool is if you each room was like a distinctive organ. And then maybe you end up at the heart, and the heart is tainted, with it's infested by that monster, and you kill it, and then that might be kind of cool. But the fact that it's all just it all just looks like a colon. It's just it's horrible.
Give it a bit of variety. It does just look like you're going through the stomach the whole time.
Interesting take. Right, so I guess I'll wrap us up. So, boys, I didn't want to sit here and tell you what you already know. Arbiter's Grounds, great dungeon.
Yes.
Ancient Cistern, great dungeon.
Yes.
Stone Tower Temple, possibly the best dungeon. There's a catalogue of dungeons that, fans almost unanimously agree are the best. And that's great. But I didn't want to sit here and just rehash consensus to you. So instead I thought I'd go with something that would be a little bit unexpected coming from myself. I've chosen the Wind Temple from Tears of the Kingdom.
That's very nice of you, Johnny. I love that.
That is a rogue, but great shout.
Didn't see that one coming, did you, boys? Just because I don't believe that Tears of the Kingdom was a net positive for Zelda culture doesn't mean that I'm impervious to its merits. Like Ed was mentioning earlier, the impact that certain dungeons had on players and players' opinions of those respective dungeons may vary a bit when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom, because you can tackle them in any order you choose. To elaborate, the first dungeon I chose to tackle was the Wind Temple, and that played a part in how impactful I found that dungeon to be. For example, if I'd chosen what Ed mentioned, the Water Temple, if I'd played that before, the whole getting to the Wind Temple you know, that section might not have seemed quite as novel had I just played the water temple, because it's sort of the same thing really, but I didn't, and so it was. And that brings on to my first point. I enjoyed how gratuitous they made the climb up to the temple. They placed it real high up.
Yeah, they're really high.
It's real high. If you go there early game like I did, like I say, it was the first dungeon I went to. It's an experience closer to playing only up than it is a Zelda game.
I was gonna say, I had my cave brain. Like, I always like go to top of map. I like go to top of map and look out.
Go to highest point, jump from highest point. Game finished. Now, you know, the first time me and the fellow cave boys here played Tears of the Kingdom, we went in completely blind, didn't we? We'd seen the trailer, and that was it, pretty much. And all you're told to begin with when you start the quest is, so you're told, look at that big blizzard all the way up there. It's in the sky. You get there, see what it is, and see if you can do something about it, will you? And so you begin climbing Jacob's ladder. And unless it's your second playthrough or you had it spoiled for you, you don't actually know what it is that you're climbing towards. You're just climbing towards this great big storm. It's enigmatic. What on earth could it be? So the whole time you're climbing, the game is leaving you hanging. It's an excellent use of the player's apprehension. It lights a proverbial fire under you that burns ever hotter the higher you climb. What am I travelling towards? What is this? Is it a dungeon? Is it a monster? I don't know. And then you get to the dungeon itself, and it's almost traditional. It's almost a traditional Zelda dungeon. It's restricted to a single location. It's elementally themed. It's culturally themed. If you solve all the puzzles, you get to fight a boss that you have to hit 3 times to kill. We're practically living in the good old days, boys. I do like the almost, I don't know what you call it, like the Super Mario Odyssey ethos that the dungeons have. That is, you can do things the intended way if you want to, or if you want to jerry-rig your way around the whole place, you can do that too. I think that's a really nice balance of classic and modern Zelda.
Yeah, I think that it got it really right with a Wind Temple for sure.
Keep in mind, like I say, this was early on in my playthrough.
Yeah.
In my very first playthrough when I went in blind. And I remember distinctly having a eureka moment in that dungeon. I remember talking to you boys on a call about this. But like I said, this was like 2 years ago, and it was a moment where the game's mechanics really just clicked for me, and I was like, I see, I understand. I had this genuinely heartwarming moment when I realised that the devs didn't want to completely insult my intelligence, and it's that moment where you come across the spinning gear that's sat next to another one that's idle.
Oh yeah,
and you have to use your environment and your knowledge of the game's mechanics to solve the problem. In this case, you shoot down an icicle from the ceiling and then you use Ultra Hand to weld the gears together. Do you boys remember that puzzle?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, like I said, and when that happened, when I reached that moment, because I'm an old head when it comes to Zelda, but it was a nice moment where I realised how far we've come from the days of old, where it was, shoot the switch on the wall that roughly resembles an eye, and then it was a nice moment where I understood the game and I felt like the game understood me. But boys, this is where the plot doth thicken. So that's my choice for the best dungeon today. It's not my favourite dungeon of all time. Like I said, I just didn't want to go over what people already know to be the best dungeon, so I picked something that was a bit more interesting. But this is where the plot thickens, because that is my choice for best dungeon. But my choice for the worst dungeon is the Wind Temple from Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh!
Now, you might be thinking to yourself, Johnny, have you lost every single last one of your marbles? You were just telling me this was the best dungeon in the game, and now you're telling me it's the worst? What are you telling me, Johnny? Are you having a mental breakdown?
Are you going senile? Is it your old age?
Possibly. It's a valid thought. Though I've been very sincere up until this point about my feelings towards the Wind Temple, both eventualities are possible. It can in ways be the best dungeon and in ways be the worst, and it comes down to one simple issue for me. This dungeon was single-handedly ruined by one stupid little bird called Chulin, who is dead set on spoiling the entire experience for you and suffers from the age-old Zelda companion affliction of not being able to shut the fuck up, like ever. He pokes you to go up the mountain in the first place. He's like, oh, gee, Link, you should, you see that over there? You should really try going that way, Link. Over there, you see it over there? You should try going over there. So you go over there, you head your way up to the dungeon, and he's like, hey, Link, look at that enigmatic storm that you're traveling towards. It looks like a boat in the middle of it, doesn't it? It looks like there's a boat in the middle of that really enigmatic storm. Can you see it, Link? The thing that you're wondering what you're traveling towards, all this suspense that the game is building. How about I ruin that immediately now by telling you exactly what it is? Can you see it, Link? Yeah, and then he's like, oh, it kind of reminds me of that book that the game forced you to read a little bit earlier. And you had to sit there for 6 business days reading that. Like, oh, it kind of reminds me of that, Link. Do you see the boat? Do you see it? And it's like, oh my god, shut up, bird. Just like the Zora, he's a bitch. That is a bird bitch. And then The second you land on that ship, he starts running his beak again, and he's just like, hey, look at all these cogs. You see all these cogs, Link? Maybe if you got them all working, part of the floor that you didn't know was a door yet, but you do now because I just told you it was, maybe that might open and maybe something might happen. Why don't you go try looking around for some way to make these cogs work? Why don't you go do that? It's like, shut up, bird bitch. You know, in the last video, or in one of our previous videos, I remember Adam was talking about how irritating Rivali is.
Oh, yeah.
I counter that and present to you Chulin. Boys, I think I might have done that thing again where I start ranting for a very long time. To sum up my idea then, the Wind Temple, like I say, I thought it was a great blend of classic Zelda and modern Zelda. Great dungeon, absolutely ruined by an irritating bird who literally spoils in the sense that like he just ruins the experience, and spoils like as in the game is building up anticipation and he breaks all of it. It's like before you can even attempt to understand the dungeon, he tells you how to solve it. Before you even, you know, whilst you're thinking, oh, I wonder what on earth is in that cloud, he literally tells you and the camera pans to it. It's like he's just a spoiler bird. The Wind Temple from Tears of the Kingdom is one of the best and at the same time one of the worst dungeons. So, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. We present to you our picks for some of the best and the worst dungeons. But what do you, at home watching this video, think are the best and worst dungeons? And as always, we can spend the next week or so completely ignoring you. Boys, what a wonderful video it was. It was nice to have you.
How wonderful. Everyone.
Goodbye. See you.